that we do church online, there are a few rules of live stream etiquette you'll need to follow. First, make sure you wear Sunday's best. Uh-oh. Now that's the ticket. You don't want to look like a crumb bum to the rest of your family, do you? You want this to be as close to your normal church experience as possible, so make sure you brew yourself a nice hot cup of joe. You know what they say, fueled by coffee, saved by grace, whatever that means. And don't forget to spill a little on the living room carpet to make the experience authentic. While you're getting settled in, make sure you grab a journal to take notes on. Your kids won't think you're a cotton-headed nitty-muggin. They'll think you're swell. One great thing about church at home is no one can hear you crunching loudly on snacks. So turn that volume up on the television and snack away. We call them sermon snacks. And you won't have to get up in the middle of the sermon to grab a snack because you came prepared. Finally, you can host a party. No, not a physical party, you junkhead. Host an online party or share the link to our live stream with your friends. It's the easiest way to invite them to church with you. Now you've got it. You've got some moxie.
Hey everybody, welcome to our live service tonight. I'm really glad you are here. So glad you joined me tonight. We got a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of stuff planned for tonight. Really excited about it. I'm glad you guys are all here. Let's jump in. Before we do, make sure you comment and let us know you're here. We want to be able to see who's here in the comments, and we want to be able to see all that. So make sure that you let us know you're here. All right, let's go ahead. Let's jump right in. Let's have some fun together.
What's up, Found John Hammies? Hope all is
That's not what I wanted. Let's try this again. Here's what I want us to do. So we're going to talk about kind of just what's going on right now in our world.
What's up, Found John Hammies?
There we go. Had the video playing too soon. Hey, real quick, here's what I want us to do. What I want us to do is this. We want to talk about kind of the update of what's going on with our youth ministry, what's going on with COVID, all of that fun stuff. And so here's what I want us to talk about today. It looks like we are still staying at home until the 29th of this month. We still have stay-at-home orders, and so we were supposed to end, I don't know if you can see this back here, which you can't, but our last Wednesday night would have been the 13th. So next week would have been our official last Wednesday night, and then we move into a new form of summer mode. My plans are, we still can't be really together, but I want us to try to start doing some things as we are allowed. So even if we aren't allowed to, like if we're not allowed to be together, then we have to follow some rules. But when we are allowed to kind of be in a little bit bigger groups together, and I think that's coming soon, we'll be able to do some things during the week. I want to just do one thing a week. It could be a fun thing, it could be a service, it could be random. I haven't really scheduled it out yet, but I want us to do some more fun things together. So be excited that we're trying. I hear you. You want to get together. You want to be together, but we just can't. We have to wait and make sure that we're all safe and we're all sound and we're all fine and we're not breaking any rules and doing all that kind of crazy stuff. So I'm trying to figure out what that is. So anyway, since we like to have fun here and you only really get to quarantine once, we're hoping and praying. You only get to quarantine once. Check out this video provided by Sunday Cool Carl. I think you'll love it.
What's up, Found John Hammies? Hope all is earthy, you know, healthy and wealthy. Now, we're hearing all this talk about we're all in this together and stay at home and just go about life as normally as possible. Well, to that, I only have one word. Yoko. Am I right, boys? Yoko! Yoko simply stands for you only quarantine once. It's not a choice, but a way of life. Why simply sit around and let the days pass when you carpe diem and please the day?
To put it in layman's terms, Yoko is simply a lifestyle for those who choose to make the best out of our current circumstances. When life hands you lemons, you take those lemons and you throw them back at life, because I have a very strict hypoallergenic citrus allergy that causes me to go into anaphylactic shock at a... So I present to you Yoko in action. Let's go. Eating 30 pounds of supreme slow-cooked chicken nachos at 7 a.m. after staying up all night playing Warzone?
Missed your grandpa and not able to see him since this whole thing broke out? No worries. Make your homie into a grandpa.
Catching up on Judge Judy?
Guilty! Guilty! Guilty!
Face your fears? Yoko?
Wrestle taser? Boys?
No, okay, dude, peanut allergy!
No, guys, no, that. Dying alone?
Go.
It's actually a real fear of mine. Anybody else have any other fears?
Public speaking?
Yoga!
So I've gathered you here today to talk about the cell leaving the nucleus host.
Playing catch with random objects?
Catch this. What is that? Crowbar?
Neighbor.
What's that?
Boom! Back on. All right, we're gonna play this game. Sorry for the craziness. The Wi-Fi is being a little weird. I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. Thank you, Max, for letting me know that my mic is off. Hey, real quick, we're gonna play this game called Sloth Race. You're going to pick between red, blue, or yellow, and you're going to comment in the section which one you think is gonna win. So here we go. It's a real quick game with sloths. All right, here we go. We're gonna play this game. Check this out. Here we go. Basically, you got to guess which sloth finishes the race first. And here we go. One, two, or three. Here we go. Ooh. This is a close race, my friends. It looks like red and blue falling behind with yellow. Oh, but some poo just got thrown and made blue fall behind. We're keeping the race on. We're going. Red is pressing on. Yellow seems to be making the win. It's almost towards, oh, it's see the finish line. Red's making a slow comeback. No, he's not. He's falling behind. Blue is in the middle, and yellow is in the middle. Oh, what happened to yellow? He got demolished, and red just got a burst of it. Number one, red wins, red wins, red wins. If you guessed red or number one, could give yourself a hand. Red won. I hope you enjoyed that. It was a crazy game. Again, I'm sorry if I'm being really laggy. Sorry, the internet is a bit funky right now at the church, and I'm the only one here, so we're just going to press on. Hey, real quick. Y'all like funny stuff, right? And I know some of you are dying. Some of you are just dying for sports. A lot of you miss sports. A lot of you miss a bunch of stuff like that, and I get it. You, out of everything out of this quarantine, you just miss sports. So here's a video for you. I pulled this out of the archives. Some of you may remember this guy from a fall retreat video that we use often for fall and winter and stuff retreats. Okay, here we go. This is Matt McGill's sports instructional videos. And this one is specifically chosen for my friends who love cross country. Max, Kyle, Brantley. Mark, you could, I don't know. I saw you on there, so that's why I thought of you. Anyway, enjoy this. We'll be back in a second.
Okay, here we go. Welcome to another edition of Matt McGill's Sports Instructional Videos. This week, we're going to look at the sport of cross country. Okay, here. You can see I'm on a huge hill. Hill training is very important for the cross-country runner. Now, any common runner can go up the hill. It takes true athleticism, endurance, and heart to survive going down the hill. Watch closely. See what I'm talking about? It takes a true champion to go down the hill. Anyone can go up. Hey there, how's it going? I bet you're wondering where the word cross-country came from. Really, it's Latin coming from two words, cra and scuntry. Cra means to run, and scuntry means without purpose. Thus, cross-country means to run without purpose. Very simple. Mental edge is important if you're going to run. Okay, when it comes to your training, you need to start slow and start small. Don't bite off more than you chew. Know your ability level. Watch now as I train for my marathon. Marksman, you may begin.
Hey, Mark. Set. Go.
Okay, here we go. The next tip just for you. You know, a common theme in the Matt McGill Sports Instructional videos is mental discipline. It's no different with cross country. You need to be mentally focused if you're going to run far, if you're going to be fleet of foot. I like to focus on one thing and one thing alone. Little chocolate donuts. That's right. That's right. It never hurts to have a refreshing sports drink as well. Okay, we've come to our final tip when it comes to cross country. There's a serious foe to the cross country runner, not blisters, not bunions, not even diarrhea. What it is, you guessed it, it's chafing. Every runner's got to worry about chafing. A lot of people use chapstick. I myself like to use petroleum jelly right here. I just take a big old swathe of that right here on my face. You can't just, you'll never get sick ever again. Here we go. Okay, you've just completed another edition of Matt McGill's Sports Instructional Videos.
Let me turn the mic on. There we go. Hey, I hope you love Matt McGill. He's hysterical. I love. There's more to come with that, so stay tuned. We have more Matt McGill sports instructional videos for you if you enjoyed that. All you cross country lovers, to run without purpose, absolutely dying laughing hysterically. Oh my word, hilarious. Okay, so we are going to attempt. No, we're not, because it's not loading right now. We were going to play YouTube Showdown Volume 2 for some fun, but because it's not loading, we will push that back and we'll play it via Zoom at 8 o'clock tonight for small group time. So make sure that if you want to play YouTube Showdown, where you have to pick between which YouTube video has the most views, then come on and join us at 8 o'clock tonight via Zoom. It's going to be lots of fun. But I do want to talk about something very, very important right now. Our weekly schedule. It is changing effectively at the end of this week, starting next week on Mother's Day, which, by the way, hopefully you're getting something for your mother, which is this Sunday. So I'm giving you a few days heads up. Get something for your mom. Do something, make something. I don't care what it is. Be nice to your mommy, okay? But that's beside the point. What I want us to do is I want us to look at this and go, what is changing? What could be changing in this weekly schedule? Right now, we do Sunday morning, 10 a.m., all church worship. Monday, Facebook, Instagram post. Tuesday, Facebook, Instagram post. Wednesday, a live service online and Zoom at 8. Thursday, guy groups, discipleship group, Zoom. Friday, Facebook, Instagram post. Saturday is family day. Here's what's changing. We are going to be removing all of the Facebook and Instagram posts Monday, Tuesday, and Friday. And here's why. Not because we don't love you, not because we don't care about you, but we're just noticing a trend that we're overpopulating and overstimulating and giving you way too much stuff to look at. It's too much stuff to do, especially with school. And so what we're going to do is we're going to focus on Sunday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday nights as our big things each week to do connection-wise, okay? So if you want to connect with us on Sunday morning, please connect with us on Sunday morning on YouTube, on Facebook Live. We have stuff that go both ways. Also, we have what we're doing now is our live services at 7 o'clock on Wednesday nights and then 8 o'clock Zoom to where we can connect. And then I don't know about you, but I absolutely love Thursday nights. Thursday nights, we've been doing this discipleship groups for guys and for girls. And it's been fabulous. We haven't had so many guys jump on, but with the guys that do jump on, we talk about this book, Love Does, by Bob Goff. It's super good. Girls are talking about this book called Seamless. Man, jump on and join us. Okay? So we won't bother you, all that kind of stuff. Now, I do want to say that there is a quarantine challenge still going in effect. We just posted it, I think, on Monday to remind you. There's a quarantine challenge. If you complete everything on that list and you have a parent sign off that you did every single thing and you kind of maybe can prove that you have pictures showing that you did some of this stuff, I will get you a free CSM t-shirt when we order our new swag here in the late summer, early fall. Okay? So when we order a new set of swag, you get a free CSM t-shirt, and if only a couple of you do it, I will throw in some gift cards. It'll be worth your while to try to complete this quarantine challenge. It's awesome. It gives you a lot of scriptures to read, a lot of great things to do. So make sure that you guys are doing that, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to turn this off. And we're going to transition into worship. Now, we here at Countryside Student Ministry, we have a fabulous worship team. And they worked really, really hard putting this all together. And so some of you may have seen this if you watched a Sunday live stream a few weeks ago. We're running thin on our song selection. But it's okay. We're going to do great. And these people are phenomenal. They will hopefully be doing a live worship service on Sunday the 31st for Senior Sunday. So be looking forward to that. It's going to be awesome. Here is our worship team leading us in a song called Always Forever. Hey, so good. I love our worship team. I hope that blessed you today. I hope that you got some encouragement from that. They're awesome. They're using their gifts and their talents for God, and so I just really appreciate them and all their hard work with that. Hey, we're going to jump right now into our lesson, into our session tonight. Free People. We just started a new series a couple weeks ago. This is week 2 of Free People. God wants us to be free. And so we're going to be talking a lot more about that. Get ready to discuss some during the service time in the comments below. Let's check out Free People, week number 2. Okay? That's the cool logo right there. We're going to start that right now.
Have you ever done something just to try to make yourself look cool in front of other people? Come on, you know we've all done it. I mean, just watch any video about epic fails and you will see people doing ridiculous things in front of other people. I'll be honest, when I was a cheerleader in high school, I'd kind of just started to learn how to do a backflip, and we were at a football game and I really wanted to try my backflip because I wanted to look really cool. And I bust my face on the ground. It was pretty crazy. And here's the truth. Trying to look good in front of other people is normal because, well, I mean, we all want to look good. None of us hope to do something embarrassing in front of others. We don't just set out to show the worst version of ourselves. We want to put our best face forward. And there's a name for that. It's called managing your image, which is doing whatever you can to make sure the best parts of yourself are visible and your less likable parts are carefully hidden. And as crazy as that sounds, we all kind of get it. Everyone around us is thinking about managing our image in some way or another too. In some ways, sometimes high school feels like it's 5% academics, 5% social life, and like 90% trying not to look stupid. You know this is true because it's what you're doing when you tell your mom to drop you off 2 blocks away from school so your friends won't see her in your family's old minivan. It's why the idea of leaving the house in the morning when we have a bad hair day or a zit on our nose makes us just want to crawl in a hole. It's why there are certain people we want to be seen walking to class with, why we get more nervous playing football or performing the high school play in front of certain people, and why there's one class we really want to do well in. It's all because we are constantly working to manage our image so that we look good in front of people. Now, this isn't just a high school thing, by the way. This is a people thing. And just because we all do that to different extents doesn't mean it isn't exhausting. I mean, image management is a full-time job, people. And no matter how good you are at it, it still always feels slightly out of reach. And usually, at the end of the day, we feel, well, tired. That, by the way, is why some of us act like total weirdos at home. We've been containing our weirdness all day and we're exhausted. And on top of being exhausted, the whole not looking dumb thing is frustrating because it never works the way we think it will. All of us have that teacher, coach, friend, or even parent who, no matter what we do, how well we perform, how good our grades are, or how many accomplishments we have, aren't gonna be proud of us the way we want them to be. We can't do enough or say enough to change that. They'll just never approve. And when we do feel like we're looking okay, it never lasts as long as we think it will. I mean, one day we have it, and then one day it's gone. It just means we're starting all over again. Maybe we make an A, get the game ball, make first violin. I mean, it's really satisfying and rewarding. We go to bed that night feeling like we're just killing it at life, right? And then we wake up, and it starts all over. And you wonder, well, what if my grades fail and I get kicked off? What if I screw up the next game? What if second chair violin practices and gets better than me? I'm depressed just thinking about it. I mean, so why are we talking about this constant battle to manage how people see us? Because it's killing us.
so let's talk about this really fast. Not a lot of time. What is the craziest thing you have ever done trying to look cool in front of others? What's the craziest thing you've ever done trying to look cool in front of others? Comment below. I want to see what you've done that's psycho crazy. Let us know. I'm excited to see what it is. Got about less than 30 seconds. Come on, let's go. Woo, multiple of me.
And here's a sneak peek at where we're going. Very few things will threaten your freedom like image management. I mean, it is the opposite of freedom. Freedom is the ability to act without restriction, and when we are constantly working around the need for approval, we're not free. Our need for approval is controlling us. Our need to manage our image is making us a slave. Last time we talked about how Jesus wants us to be free people, but what do we do if the fight for approval takes up our lives and keeps us from feeling anything but free? We started talking about the letter to the Galatians last week. It was a letter Paul wrote to a church who had heard the message of Jesus from Paul, but who had other teachers follow up with the Galatians. And these other teachers were teaching something different from what Paul had originally shared. I mean, Paul's message was, Jesus saved you. You're free from sin. Jesus made the relationship between you and God right. And these other guys came around saying, not so fast. Actually, you kind of have to keep these Jewish commands too for the whole salvation thing to really take. This made Paul very upset. I mean, remember when you were little and you worked for hours to build a Lego tower and your younger sibling would walk by and knock it down? It was kind of like that, but more annoying and way more important. That's how Paul felt. Paul had poured his heart into these people. And when these other teachers came around teaching them something that was nowhere near the true message of Jesus, Paul took it personally. That's why he was super clear in this letter in order to set the record straight. So Paul opens the letter saying this, I am astonished that you are so quickly deserting the one who called you to live in the grace of Christ and are turning to a different gospel, which is really no gospel at all. Evidently, some people are throwing you into confusion and are trying to pervert the gospel of Christ. Those are pretty direct words. And now look what Paul says a few verses later. Obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. Basically, Paul is saying, I'm probably gonna make you mad with what I say here as I set the record straight. But I'm not here for your approval. That's really saying something because Paul had plenty of enemies. He was on the run for his life through most of the story of the New Testament, from the government and also from Jewish leaders who saw him as a traitor to Judaism because he had decided to follow Jesus. But the church in Galatia should have been different. He planted this church and had a loving relationship with them. I mean, they were on the same team. But Paul knew they had heard something different about what following Jesus meant, and he wasn't okay with it. So he took a chance at rocking the boat, potentially even jeopardizing the relationship so he could clear things up. Why, you ask? Because the message of Jesus was on the line. A message that says freedom from sin can happen without the burden of people having to make their relationship with God right through their behavior. Paul had to make a decision. Did he care more about managing what people thought of him? Or did he want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the real message of Jesus, a message of freedom and grace, was being preached? Basically, it was a decision between working for the approval of man or the approval of God. Paul spoke those words at the very beginning of the letter because he wanted to set the stage for the rest of the letter. Let's go back to what he said. Obviously, I'm not trying to win the approval of people, but of God. If pleasing people were my goal, I would not be Christ's servant. See, Paul was more concerned with what he thought was right by God than what people would say or think about him. And maybe you think that sounds sort of harsh, but I mean, he wasn't just being a jerk. Going after the approval of God doesn't mean that you have permission to act in such a way that no one likes you. I mean, that wasn't what Paul was trying to do. Going after the approval of God does not mean losing the respect of others. In fact, in the next verse, Paul addresses the church in Galatia as brothers and sisters. He obviously cared about his relationship with them. Paul said what he said because he cared about the church and the people who made the church up, and not just about what they thought about him. You see, Paul knew that to only care about the approval of the men and women in Galatia was to make his own needs for approval more important than what they actually needed to be, because they actually needed the gospel. They needed the truth. So he told them, even at risk of how they would take it. Paul was basically saying there's a difference between caring about something and being controlled by it. He cared about the people who made up this church. He cared about the influence he had in their lives. He cared about having influence with them, but he was not controlled by the need for their approval. And that's an important distinction. That small difference is what kept him from being controlled by whether or not they approved of him, because Paul knew that free people live for God, not for the approval of others. Put even more simply, free people live for him, not them. But that's not always easy to do. It's not always easy to care what others think and not be controlled by the approval of others. So, how do you know if you're being controlled by the approval of others?
Let's talk about that for a minute. How do we know if we're being controlled by the approval of others? How do we know? Go ahead and comment below. How do we know if we're being controlled by the approval of others? What things do we do? What things do we say? Go ahead and comment now.
Let me give you a few indicators. If you're willing to do things when people are around that you wouldn't do if you were alone, you may be controlled by the approval of others. If what other people say to you or think about you, whether it's a coach or a group of friends, changes how you feel about yourself, you may be controlled by the approval of others. If you feel like you're living different lives depending on the group you're hanging out with, being one way with one group of friends, another way with a different group, another way with your family, another way at church, you may be controlled by the approval of others. If there's a church version of you and a school version of you and a home version of you, you may be controlled by the approval of others. And here's why that matters. You weren't made to be controlled by anything. Remember, Jesus wants us to be free people, and free people don't live with every action being controlled by how others see them. Now, here's what Paul was not saying. I'm seeking the approval of God, so it doesn't matter how I treat everybody else. That's not what he meant. And I think it's important for those of us who are Christians to think about that. Sometimes we can just be obsessed with managing our image as a super Christian that we act like we're better than other people. We don't always realize it, but that's not freedom either. That's still being controlled by our need to look a certain way. Now, before we wrap up, I want to get personal for a second. Chances are there's at least one relationship in your life where you care way more about your image and about their approval of you than you should. A relationship where, if you were honest, they have more control over you and your emotions and your view of yourself than you'd like to admit. And that's true for me. It's probably true for all of us. Chances are, they don't mean to have that influence on you. In fact, they probably don't even notice. But you care so much about what they think. Maybe people have even noticed it about you. Maybe someone has said something to you about how you change the way you talk or act around that person. And the question is, what do you do? Well, a couple of chapters later, in his letter to the Galatians, Paul says this: pay careful attention to your own work, for then you will get the satisfaction of a job well done, and you won't need to compare yourself to anyone else. For we are each responsible for our own conduct. Paul pretty much sums it up right there. You worry about you. You are responsible for yourself. You don't want to be a background player in your own life. You don't have to let someone else's opinion drive your decisions. The responsibility for you lies with you. In a way, it's like Paul is saying, you do you. Not because he didn't care about what others thought, but because I think he understood what we sometimes miss. You don't need others to give you what you already have. You don't need their approval because the God who made you already approves of you. He's crazy about you. Free people live with this mind, caring about the approval of God and not them. And when they do that, they feel a lot more free. They are free from the control of others' opinions. They are free from the burden of trying to measure up. They are free to rest in what God has done for them and don't worry about trying to live up to any other standard. Now, before you go to small groups, I want you to imagine how different your life would be if you didn't feel the pressure to manage your image all the time or get the approval of others. What would it look like if you started to live as though you believed what God has done for you is enough and no one can add or take away from that? How many hours would you get back? How much less stressed, less tired, less fake, and less worried would you be? It sounds nice, right? And that's what Paul wanted for the Galatians, and that's what Jesus wants for you. Because as we learned last week, he wants us to be free, and free people live for him, not them.
That is so right. Free people live for him, not for them. And so what I want us to think about today, before we jump into small groups and Zoom, about 20 minutes. By the way, make sure, Zoom, 8 o'clock, join us. We want you to be there live in person so we can interact face to face. We'll be talking a lot about this. How do we be free people by just listening to what God has to say versus what others have to say? So join us on Zoom. We would love for you to be there. Hey, I'm so glad that you came online tonight. I'm so glad that you spent time with me. Sorry for some of the little glitches, but hey, we're not perfect. We try to make things work. And I'm just glad you're here. I'm really excited about the future of where we can take our youth ministry, where we can take our group. It's kind of a clean slate. I mean, we can just start fresh and new, and I'm really excited about that. Wanted to give you a couple things right before we go. A lot of you know, or maybe you don't, but we're doing Adopt a Senior program. It's on Countryside Student Ministries Facebook page. There's a post pinned to the top with this picture on it, and inside, underneath it, there are seniors that are already posting their things. Please go ahead and get your families, send families there to start adopting some of our seniors and blessing them this year. They've had a rough couple of months. They've lost a lot, so we want to bless them. So go to that Facebook page underneath that post, and that's where you will find them. If you have a senior or know of a senior or are a senior and you would like to be included in that, go ahead and post your picture in that thread, and we'll try to get people to adopt you during this time. There's a piece of paper that I sent in an email. It's called My Favorite Things. If you don't have one, contact me. I will send it to you. Fill that out so that you have ready to be able to send to people when they adopt you. So that way they can know kind of what you like, what you don't like, and what to get you. All right, so that's our Adopt a Senior program. It's going through the whole month. I'll be posting another video about this tomorrow online just to show people what's going on. So a lot of you probably feel like January 2020, it was going to start awesome. How many of you felt like this? January 2020, new year, new me. February 2020.
Oh.
We're pretty scared, but we're okay.
You good?
Then March
Oh.
2020.
You good?
You okay? I love that video. I think it's hilarious. I feel that like that sometimes, where just everything just got pulled out from underneath me and I'm stuck. And so I just want to encourage you tonight, no matter what you're going through, no matter what you're facing, if you're depressed, if you're happy, if you're sad, if you're excited, if you're whatever you're going through, know that God loves you. God cares about you. He sent his son to die for you, and that we here at Countryside Student Ministry, I care about you. We care about you. We want the best for you. Please reach out and get a hold of us if you need anything, just to talk. If you're bored, we're here for you. We love you. We want you to know that we love you and we care about you. Now, before we go, we're going to jump into Zoom in about 15 minutes. But I just want to let you know that we love you. We're praying for you. And I hope that you have a great week. We look forward to seeing you soon. And just know that this summer is going to look different. We'll be finding out about camp this next week, next Tuesday. There should be an announcement going out to the district about what's happening for camp. So stay tuned with all of that, and know that I love you and I care about you and I want the best for you. if you know of anything or see of anything or just want to talk, my phone's always open and I'm always open to talk. I love you guys. See you soon, hopefully. This summer we'll be getting together. You know, normally we try to shut things down, but we're going to try to get some gatherings together if we're allowed to. So, hey, see you later. Love you guys. Have a great week.